This video has been uploaded by Truthseeker on YouTube.
I'm feeling really affected by the fact that Trump got in. I'm not even American, I'm English. And I've been really struggling to feel what I really feel about it.
Well, here's your big opportunity. Be the voice of the people. I feel
really angry. I feel really angry.
Okay.
And I'm smiling right now. I feel really sad. Like, we haven't moved on and we're stuck in old pattern. I feel like where is humanity? Where is it? Where is it? I thought we were making progress.
You know that you're echoing what so many people feel. I was alone for the most part in my prediction that he would win. Most of the people that I ran into, especially who are psychics, were saying, no, this is the era of divine feminine, so of course it's not going to be him. So you're like squarely in the place that most people are in right now, especially in this kind of field. Wait, what? Okay, so keep going.
I can feel it in my body that I feel like I feel squashing. I feel like from what's happened, I feel squashed, and I'm screaming to get out. And I feel, as a woman, I know Hillary's got her thing, but I feel like, come on, we had it was progression. At least it wasn't he just represents everything that
Exactly.
Past people that are the same way of it's like humanity's dead, and it's such a big reflection of America, of humanity's dead. And I feel like I'm powerless. And I feel like how on earth did that happen?
Do you want to know or no?
Yes, I want to know.
Okay, two-part answer. When it came to these two presidential candidates, you got to choose between shadows. Pretense. And we're in the era of authenticity. Or no pretense. Obvious shadow.
He's a huge shadow.
Both of them were.
She's also a huge shadow.
Both of them were huge, huge shadow, but one of them is open about it, the other one isn't.
She's not open about it.
Hell no. She's pretense. They're both a nightmare. Like, if I could have shown you what the minds of most Americans have been like, it's been like mass exodus is what it's been like. It's like, do you choose between your left leg or your right leg?
So if his shadow is exposed...
We chose that over pretense. We chose authenticity, even if it was terrible.
It's terrible.
Huh? It's terrible.
It's really terrible.
Okay, so that's one part. You ready for the two part?
Yeah.
Up until about 2012, we were leading up to a peak where we were having to decide as a collective species in humanity whether we were ready or even desiring to make a full shift into, let's call it the new species, the new Earth. There are two ways to do this. Either the current system collapses or a new one kind of changes the old system. You get that right?
Yeah.
What do you think we voted for as a species? And there is no such thing as no vote, and there is everyone in the world that voted. This is the thing. America isn't who voted for that. The human race is who voted for this. Because the entire world will be involved in this one.
it has to collapse.
Exactly. So looking at the two candidates, which one is going to cause a collapse?
Trump.
You voted for the forest fire. Humanity voted for the forest fire, the cleansing.
And I have to let go of the attachment of trying to be. I get it. So he's a shadow, and
It's not even that you
needs
have
to
to
go.
it's not that you have to let go of it. What you have to realize is that you have voted for it as well. And this is the next level of consciousness for the majority of us in this group, conscious beings. You have to realize that every day that you have, gotten into an interaction that is less than pleasant with someone in society, anytime you go through the airport security line and it's uncomfortable, anytime you go to a day of school and it sucks, you have been asking in that moment for a collapse of the system.
So I'm lying when I'm saying.
You are.
Oh, shit.
Look, nobody wants it, but this in the human race, this is that moment where you've got a loved one who's on a respirator. And at first you're like, I can't have them die, I can't live with them dying, this is so terrible. And there will come a day when you're like, I can't deal with the uncertainty, like this just has to end. It doesn't mean that when it does end and when you pull the respirator out from the person that you love and they stop breathing and they die, that you're like, yay! No. It's just a bit of relief. It's a relief that you're getting a forest fire instead of continuing on with a system that everyone has hated.
Is it a bit true to say that in each of those candidates you might project like a mum issue or a dad issue on either a good side or a bad side, and which side you would take?
Potentially. But that's not what was the deciding factor. We did the same thing that the English did with the Brexit.
I know.
Half the people who voted were just like, I can't handle it like it is anymore, so we're going to go for whatever a change is. And that's exactly what America did.
How long is the change going to take? Sorry.
Well, I don't like giving timelines because in a quantum universe there are multiple life path potentials. But what you're lining up with is no later than 2020. But I am not giving myself longer than 3 months after this man gets into office.
What do you mean?
To make changes in my life immediately. You'll see. Just follow my blogs.
In 3 months?
I'm literally not giving myself longer than that. It's not like he gets into office and gets cozy. No, this is a guy who's like, we're doing change now, and everyone's going to suffer for it. You better believe it. Everyone in this world. But you know it already.
But there's a way through it. You have to go through that to what actually wants to happen. It has to collapse in itself, explode in itself.
It does.
And be violent.
Yes, and so on. But I'm on both sides. So, like, you're going to meet people in the spiritual field who are all on one side, and they're like, look, it's all utopia, you guys. It's wonderful. This is meant to happen because of what's going to come out of this. And they're true. It's true.
Right.
But let's not also jade ourselves to what it looks like for an entire system to collapse. Yeah.
You can't just jump and bite.
No, because they're trying to bypass, and the reality is this could get very, very bad very fast. And it's why I think so many people collectively, you've pulled the respirator, right, on society. That's what we've done.
Yeah, literally.
So like when you do that, there's a moment of like, oh my God. Like you can feel what's coming. This is a repeat of 1930.
So where have we made progress? I mean, we have, but it can feel like, sorry.
Oh, it can feel like, but nobody added to world peace more than Hitler.
So you get that, right? He had a real purpose.
Well, yeah, he had a real purpose, but like in general, it is the contrast which creates the opposite. That is how it works on this planet. Like you don't get Teal Swan without years of ritual torture. You can't have one without the other, right?
The lived experience has to be lived.
One inspires the other. One gives birth to the other. And so if you want a utopian society, what do you think that the majority of the planet needs to experience?
The absolute opposite.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
So you're right to feel nervous. But I can promise you that if you are holding on to any bit of this society, you will be in pain.
I don't want to be in pain. I mean, a bit of pain.
Then let the hell go of it. It's going to feel like watching your house burn to the ground.
Well, I'm holding on to conditions, like my own.
I know, but play this game with me. Since you were 5 years old, you've been asking for a change. So what does that look like? Just for fun, just voice the people. Like, what does it look like, this change? What do you want Earth to look like?
God, where equality.
So little
No
kids, here we go.
suffering.
Little kids, when I'm 5 years old, they disinclude me from being part of a game. In that moment, I want
To be included, to be part of it.
oneness. Does this world look like oneness to you?
No.
So that's going to be demolished. What do you think it would take for the majority of people on the planet, in the mainstream, to want oneness?
It has to be demolished.
But I mean, literally, what would it take for the majority of people in the mainstream to want oneness?
They don't want it. They would have to give up their money, their
They don't want it. So how do you? So
prestige,
exactly. So as the universe, how do you make them want it?
You just do it. It just happens to them.
No.
How do you make them want it?
Oh, I can make them want it. Yeah. By torturing them with the opposite.
Then it flips over and it happens.
Exactly.
'Cause they have no choice.
Yeah, so basically, universally, we are opting into all of those types of experiences that give rise to the desire in the collective for that type of utopian society. But that should be an indication both of how good we're, the good stuff we're going towards, but also how bad it has to get. Yeah.
In order for the opposite
Yeah.
to. So what do we do in our own day-to-day life while this is all?
Well, you already know what you want. You're not in a state of unconsciousness like the majority of people. If you were to walk down the average street in New York City, for example, you're dealing with a heavy amount of unconsciousness. These are not people who have the contrast in order to even know that they want the opposite. So how are they going to create this society? They aren't until they're aware. So the universe will make them aware pretty soon here. But for the rest of the people who have already woken up to this stuff, get on board with it. Like now, like yesterday, like probably a week ago or more. Yeah.
Because I feel like it's a time of having to get in my own balls, right? Of gutsiness. And,
Oh, yeah.
And just talk and shout almost and speak about it. Don't shut up because you've had so many years of shutting up. And
Exactly, but what are you speaking about? That's the question. This is fun. I like this. You guys with me so far? You're such a respectful audience. I'm like, what's going on out there? Okay.
Oh, I don't look. Speaking about humanity and being human and being connected and being vulnerable and open and, like you're saying, letting go of the past and the grief and the conditions that you're holding on to. Speaking about moving forward, like screaming about it almost, but then don't want to be seen as a hysterical woman. So it's like, I better be a bit careful about how far I go. But doing stuff that is educating, doing shows and having people come see it and putting more information out there of your own experience. That's the only way. It's the only thing to do. But it's hard because there is a suffocation there where you're just like,
well, in everything that you're saying right now, so did that feel good to you when she said that? It did? Well, those of you you can relate, that's good. Well, when those of you who said, no, it doesn't feel good, is that you're feeling the resistance, the fight. There's no freedom in that fight. It is the pushing against something. This is why you were in Ireland. You understand you have to be a match to this place, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a demographic of people that is highly, highly attached. And when you're super highly attached and something's taken away from you, you push against whatever's taking it away, like with all of you, right? It becomes a fight. Now, what I am inviting you and the people of Ireland to do at this particular point is to approach loss with a completely different attitude. It's when the house is on fire, you grab your sunglasses. And you say, like, well, I'm glad I don't have to fix the dishwasher now. Does that make sense? Do you see the difference in those two frequencies?
Yeah, there's an ease.
You yelling at people about what needs to happen isn't going to make it happen. Do you get that?
I do get that.
I mean, yesterday I was here for this like wonderful march. It's pretty cool. You know, did you guys know that there was like this huge march? Some of you were probably in it, right? Yeah, there was this huge, I couldn't tell whether it was an anti-Trump or a pro-immigration or whatever, but basically I was like walking and suddenly I get just consumed by like all of these people in this march. So I sat there and stared at them and I was like, you know, it's super cool. The idea of uniting is super, super cool. Like there's a place for a fight, but that is not going to change what's happening in the world today, I can tell you that. It's going to make them more miserable and more miserable. They don't know what they're up against. They're even up against their own asking. You know?
You're then kept in a loop.
Completely.
And that's your own doing. It's no one else's fault. You can't like keep pointing the finger. It's like, what can I do in myself? Put the sunglasses on.
Well, there is a difference between opening your own home to a refugee family and demonstrating in the streets to try to make someone else do it.
There's an immediate result from you opening your home. It's
exactly. And you're making the same statement, but you're making it through your actions instead of your fight.
And it does something instantly because there's a connection and a home and a warmth and a difference.
Yeah.
And that's bigger than going out and shouting and screaming.
10 times bigger. Much more impact on refugee families. I'm sorry. Okay. But do you see what we need to do, if you already know what you want, is to freaking do it. Stop worrying about what they're doing. That's the fight. The fight that's getting us in trouble is worrying about what everyone else here is doing.
The energy goes on that.
Yeah, and then you're fighting.
And then you're then distracted from your own.
Completely. And you're miserable to boot.
And you're miserable.
So literally, for those of you who are in this audience, it's about deciding exactly what it is that you've been putting off that you know you want. And then having the balls to literally just do it.
And not stay in the old pattern.
Yeah.
And the loop.
Yes.
Even if you don't exactly know what's going to happen, take the risk.
No one knows what's going to happen here.
But you know what you don't want, even if you don't know what you want.
Yes. So do you feel a tiny bit better about the fact that Trump got elected or no?
I kind of feel like it had to be. And it's uncomfortable to say that. And
how comfortable do you think it was for all of the 20s and 30-year-old liberals in America? Because they went for him too. It's the moment where you're like, I can't tell you how many people had this moment in America where they were like, am I really, as a super liberal, young person in America, going to vote for a Republican racist asshole? I can't believe that feels more right.
And they did it. They acted on it.
Oh, they did it. Mm-hmm.
And they really did it.
They really did it.
Because it really happened. So thank you to them. In a weird way.
Yeah, they were the ones who said, all right, I'm tapped in enough to collective consciousness in terms of the shift that we want to have happen to light the match. So, sunglasses.
Put them on and watch. And open the door. Open your front door. Instead of fighting what you don't want, do what you
do. Yeah.
do what you do want.
You have no other option. When your house burns down, you can't sit there and be upset that your house burnt down. You go, okay, well, I'm going to make some money, and then I'm going to buy some new forks, and then spoons, and then maybe another house one day. You see how it works? Yeah. I'm not going to say that it's going to be easy. Watching people suffer, which will happen, is not going to be easy.
Yeah, I guess I'm afraid of my own suffering or watching people suffer. And violence and seeing people die. And
nobody hates it worse than me. I understand. I will spend an hour and a half trying to get a little teeny spider out of a crack in my house because I can't handle the idea of them starving to death in my house. So,
yeah, well,
I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to enjoy suffering. I'm asking you to understand the reason.
But still feel... But then I can get stuck in a loop of being in the suffering and being really sad.
Yeah, and then you remind yourself you can't do anything about it. I mean, this was super, super interesting. I had this conversation a little while back when this whole Iraq war thing was going off, and it was with an American who was like you, super, super empathetic. So I had this conversation where I was like, let me just ask you as a question. Are you going to get on an airplane? Are you going to have the army drop you off by parachute into Iraq? And are you going to go start holding people's legs together when they're blown apart? Are you literally going to do that? And of course her answer was no. Some people feel called to do that, but for the majority of us, no, we're not going to do it.
I'd just be a wreck. I wouldn't be able to... I'd probably be helpless because I'd just freak out from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, majority of people have no clue what war is like, yes. So, you do what you have with what you know from where you are. That's what you do. So I want you to start thinking about it this way. If suffering is a pie, right? And you are a piece of that pie, if you reduce suffering to that piece of the pie that you are part of, then it has an effect on the whole. You see, you've just taken yourself out of the suffering pie by doing that. So make sure you're not miserable every day. Step 1. Step 2, if you feel compelled to do something tiny, even if it's give soup to someone who's asking for money on the street, that's a reduction in suffering. That's all you can do.
That is all you can do.
It is all you can do.
Have the power from your own action.
Which is exactly why I gave you that scenario. I want you to keep using the sunglasses for the house burning down scenario. If your house is burning down, you're not going to be able to stop the flames. Your house is gone. So you do what you can do from where you are with what you have.
You can do a lot, really.
You can, yeah. Isn't this funny? Look how much better she looks about it. Trump won.
He kind of needed to what? He kind of needed to win. He needed to win. In actual fact, he's vital. He's a massive part of it.
Now you're thinking.
Now I feel bad that I'm been beating up on him and saying really bad things about him and been calling him all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, he's actually also just a human as well. Mm-hmm. And maybe he's just got. He's only. I feel a bit sad for him.
Here's why you should feel sad for him. Nobody ends up racist, obsessed with success, fill in the blank, unless they have experienced trauma. Think of a tiny little infant, right? No infant is like, when I grow up, if I'm not a multi-billionaire, I'm worth nothing.
Extreme trauma.
Oh, yeah.
But what about some of the people voting? They're also in that trauma, right?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Trauma abounds.
So it's a huge reflection of actually how traumatic humans are, and there's no separation between.
Yes, and that's the issue. The major issue, here we go, awakening the group, ready? The major issue is we make it about the candidates. They're nothing but a reflection of the people. We got to make it about us.
Now I feel really bad about him.
You should feel bad about the state of the world. If you've got a demographic of people, if the world is in a position where it can vote for Trump, we've got way bigger issues than Trump.
Sorry.
Well, at least you feel better about him winning.
I do. Now I feel like, oh, poor Trump. He needs a hug. or he needs a breakdown or something. Like, he needs to look at his stuff. But anyway, I can't do that. We can't do anything for anyone else. Like, as in, I can't force him to kind of go get some kind, take time out and go do some healing. But I can change where I look. And actually, I can feel more softness for him, even though I felt so much rage.
Well, I'm glad now you've got more softness. So you've done your piece in decreasing suffering today.
I have. Thank you.
Okay.